So, all right, switching gears here, literally, going to the Pro Polling League tractors. All right, and that was Mr. Michael Snepp on a tractor he calls Thunderstorm. And again, Michael is our option puller, so he does have the option to turn that hook down. Of course, with this class being a different class, we make a little tweak on the sled. Snepp is going to exercise that option. He's going to drop to the bottom of the class. And that's going to bring up Mr. Brian Barman on a hooked up tractor. Beautiful black and red 66 series international tractor. Brian Barman is currently sitting in the number 5 spot in our points race out of Middleton, Wisconsin. Got 2 wins on the season already from our Joliet hook and our Freeport hook. So looking to move up in that points race. Again, this is one of those classes that pretty much anybody can win at any given time. Very tightly matched class of tractors. So these Super Farm tractors, again, 9,300 pounds, 24.5-inch tires, 640 cubic inch. They are running an ag chassis. They are allowed to run intercoolers. So what that does is they have ice boxes that have got a lot of ice cold water in them. They will take that ice cold water and they essentially pump it through a box that's got some radiators in it. And it takes that incoming air to that motor. Of course, it's coming directly out of the turbocharger, so it's a little bit warm. They run it through those radiators and they super cool that air. Shove as much of it into that motor as they can. They will fill those ice boxes. Depends on which tractors. Some of them are bigger than others, but you could probably average somewhere between 50 and 100 pounds of ice, and by the time they get to the end of the track, that ice is all gone. They have pulled all of the cooling out of that ice, super cooled that air going into that motor, threw a whole bunch of diesel fuel at it at a good rate of pressure, and squeezed on it real hard with the pistons and made lots of power to get down this track. These guys are running a 20-inch maximum height on the drawbar as well, same as our last class. Again, very similar in appearance. They are running a single charger, 3-inch by 3-inch. So 3-inch on the inlet, 3-inch on the outlet. And they are allowed to run a slotted charger. A lot of good color representation in this class. You're going to see some green, some orange, some red. Every once in a while you'll see a couple of different colors, but we've got some good ones here tonight. Again, we've got Mr. Brian Barman here. Got a green flag on the track. On a tractor he calls hooked up. Gonna take a shot at that leader flag. And he's getting everything he can get out of it. A good hook by Brian there. Now you saw that front end get up pretty high in the air right as he let out on that clutch, and that just tells you how good this track is. So he was hooked into it really good. Brought that front end up a little higher than he might have wanted. I would venture to say if he had a do-over, he might consider another weight forward. But Brian had to get past that 312 mark, and he did it with authority. 337.51, 337.519. So Brian's going to move that leader flag out there. We're going to go from red to green. So up next, we're going to bring up a tractor. Been very well recognized out on the circuit. And this is a tractor called Fast and Furious, driven by Mr. Don Slama out of Hillsboro, Wisconsin. Now, if you have been around the pulling circuit or been around the national pulling circuit, you may have heard of the Hillsboro, Wisconsin area for a tractor pull that is coming up this year. So Don Slama puts this Hillsboro charity tractor pull on every year. Don, very active in the community up there, just puts a tractor pull on. It is a 2-day hook coming up. Very, very good facility up there. He's traveled down here tonight. Don's sitting in the number 10 spot in our Apex Turbo Super Farm class this year. One of the things I forgot to mention, we are live streaming this pull right now on Pro Pulling TV. So propulling.tv. Catch all kinds of pulling action all over the summer with the Pro Pulling League. For a small subscription, you can watch pulls all over the country all summer long. You have the ability to go back and watch them throughout the year. So Don's getting backed up to the sled there. He's got it spotted over maybe just a touch left of center. So he's got fellow competitor Mr. Chuck Guenterberg backing him into the sled here. We'll see Chuck in just a little bit. But again, this is Don Slama out of Hillsboro, Wisconsin, on a tractor he calls a Fast and Furious. If you are into the social media realm, if you can find Don Slama or the Hillsboro Charity Tractor Pull on social media, they're always a good follow. Don is very, very good at the social media stuff. Well, maybe he's not so much, but he's got some grandkids that maybe help him with it just a little bit. Always a lot of good, funny stuff coming out of there. But the pull that he puts on is a great benefit to that Hillsboro, Wisconsin area. But he's here tonight to try to grab that win. Got to get out there past that leader flag, 337.51. And he gave her everything he had. Good hook for Don. Really hear those motors working hard out here on this Brown County Fair track. Don's going to come up just a bit short. Needed to get to 337. He goes 335.23. 335.23. Going to put him in the number 2 spot. We got 11 tractors here in the class. Sorry, 10 tractors here in the class. 8 more to go. Next, we're going to go to Mr. Dan Vinnie on a tractor they call Crank It Up. Now, Dan's coming to us out of Cottage Grove, Wisconsin. A lot of this Super Farm class you're going to see out of the Wisconsin area, the Badger State pullers. Started There's a lot of super farms up there in that area. Again, a 640 cubic inch. They do run a little bit, they run a smaller charger than some of the other classes, but these things, make no mistake about it, are torque monsters. They put those intercoolers on there. They make some tremendous power out of these. Beautiful 66 series sheet metal. Looks like Dan has moved this back down towards the center just a little bit, so both of our first two classes keeping that sled centered up. Again, as that groove will get better and better, but then at some point it will start to fall off, and they'll start moving just a little bit farther outside of that center of track area. Again, want to thank you for coming out this evening. Hopefully you've been able to get you something good to eat, something good to drink. I want to thank some of our elite sponsors here with the Western Illinois Pro Pulling Tractors. Tractor Pull, Dot Foods, Farmers State Bank and Trust Company, Jennings Beard Stow, Sullivan Auctioneers and Big Iron. Mr. Dan Vinnie's going to see if he can get past that leader flag. 337.519 is what he's got to beat. Let's see what he can do. And another good hook, parking it right down there with everybody else. This is going to be a tale of the lasers tonight, I think. Dan goes 335.14 to 335.14. It's going to put him in the number 3 spot. Now, when you see them coming off the line like that, and you see those front ends coming up, like I said, that means they're really good and hooked up to that track. If you listen to those motors, the higher the front end gets, you'll hear those motors start to rev a little bit higher. That's those rear tires unloading just a little bit, and that's usually not a good thing to have, but the flip side of that is they've got to have the speed and the momentum to get to the end of the track where they want to get going, so they usually have to get off of that clutch as fast as they can without just absolutely sidestepping the thing, get that speed and momentum built up, because that will play a factor. These things can make a lot of horsepower and a lot of torque at the end of the track, but they do have to have some speed and momentum to help carry them to that leader flag. So up next, we've got Mr. Jeremy Roberts on a tractor he calls the Wicked Whitetail, out of Sullivan, Indiana. Jeremy's going to take a shot at that leader flag here in our Apex Turbo Super Farm class. So this Wicked Whitetail tractor, again, another good follow on social media. They're always posting a lot of things. Jeremy will share his seat time with son Jesse every now and then. Currently sitting number 6 in our Super Farm points chase. Jeremy's got to get out there past that Brian Barman tractor, setting at 337.49, 337.49. So we'll see what Jeremy can do. Looks like he's got that sled spotted very similar to the same spot as everybody else. Looks like he moved it down just a little bit. He's going to wind her up and see what he can do. John Deere fans, where you at? All right, good hook for Jeremy. We're going to see what we come back here. Again, we are using a laser measurement system, so we can get down to the hundredths of a foot. Folks, we've got a new leader, Mr. Jeremy Roberts, 339.35, new leader. So you saw Jeremy come off that line, kept that front end down, let that thing do its work. Great hook for Jeremy. But unfortunately for Jeremy, he's got a lot of bullets to dodge coming behind him in this Apex Turbo Super Farm class. Couple of real tough runners coming up next. Again, this class is so tightly contested that any of these tractors on any given night can pull out a win. It really comes down to how you drive and how you get your setup dialed in. So these guys are looking at this track. They're watching tractors before them. Even if, as the 85 Limited Pro Stock tractors were going down the track, they're watching them. All right, we've got Mr. Nick Skaar on a tractor called Screaming Norwegian. A beautiful Case IH. Better hear some of you Red fans get excited about this. Nick's currently sitting in the number 3 spot in our points chase out of Cottage Grove, Wisconsin. Again, with all of these competitors within the Pro Pulling League, a lot of miles traveled all summer long. These tractors and trucks, they get pulled hard, but they see a lot of miles in the trailer. So it is a very, very, can be grueling schedule. All of our competitors, whether state level or in the Pro Pulling League, are coming out of what affectionately is known as Hell Weeks. So we see a lot of county fairs going on this time of year. They all want to bring these top level competitors and their vehicles to their fairs. So we make a lot of hooks in a short amount of time across all of these classes. So Nick's going to see what he can do. The Screaming Norwegian out of Cottage Grove, Wisconsin. And a good hook for Nick. Nick's going to go 331.44, 331.44. Looks like that's going to put him in the number 5 slot. So you saw Nick as he got down to the end of the track, not sure if he was shooting for it. Looks like he drifted off a little bit to the left. Again, as soon as he comes off of that line, a lot of these guys are finding out there's a good amount of bite out there on this Brown County track. Pulling those front ends maybe just a little bit higher, but if you saw Nick's tractor, when it came back down, it didn't go all the way back down right away. He brought it down and it kind of settled in there, took off. It did eventually come down to the ground, but when it did, that sled was up on him pretty good, putting some weight down on the back end and brought that front end right back up. So a good hook for Nick. And that's going to bring up our lone orange tractor in the class. And this is Mr. Shane Masten on a tractor he calls Thumpin' Pumpkin out of Niles, Michigan. And folks, this is your current points leader in our Apex Turbo Super Farm class. Sitting at 351 points. It's got 2 wins on the season. Was able to take the victory at Freeport and Goshen. And has him sitting at the top of the class as of right now. Of course, we'll see how that all shakes out at the end of the year. Still got some hooks for these tractors before the points races are decided. So this tractor comes to us out of Niles, Michigan. This orange tractor has been out for quite a few years. Strong running AGCO. Do we have any orange fans out there? I heard this guy right over here. I think he's by himself, but I got an orange tractor at home, so I'm with you, buddy. Got another one down here. It's all right. Shane's going to see what he can do to get out there past that leader flag. Again, this is your current points leader in the class. It's got to get out there past Jeremy Roberts. And you're hearing that bottom end grunt, making a lot of horsepower down there on the bottom of that RPM curve. No, sir, that is not a green engine. All right, so the tail of the laser. Jeremy Roberts was sitting in the lead at 339.35. Shane goes 339.86, new leader. All right, great hook for Shane. So he's going to take over that top spot right now. Great hook for Shane. We got 5 tractors left in this Apex Turbo Super Farm class. One of them being our option puller, Mr. Michael Snepp. He's going to come back at the bottom of the class. So as we're waiting for Mr. Chuck Guenterberg to come up on the tractor he calls Positive Ground, I want to talk a little bit about what we've got coming up next. So if you see down here on the starting line, see all those body, two-wheel drive truck bodies in the air. One of the things you want to take note of is there's some really big horsepower and there's some really big noise coming with that class. So if you haven't been able to come up with some ear protection for your youngsters, make sure that you do before they get up here. We'll talk a little bit more about those as we get closer to that next class. Again, that'll be our super modified two-wheel drive truck class. Looks like we got 14 of our two-wheelers here with us this evening. And here we've got Mr. Chuck Guenterberg. Out of Rio, Wisconsin. Got one win on the year. Got a win in one of our Seymour, Indiana hooks. So Chuck's got a 88 series sheet metal here. Beautiful looking tractor, strong running tractor out of Wisconsin. He's got to get out there past Shane. Just saw Shane take the lead here in our Apex Turbo Super Farm class. Leader flag sitting at 339.86. So he's been back there watching these guys. Generally, that track starts to get a little better. We're going to see what Chuck can do with it. Chuck's going to be right down there with Shane and Jeremy both. We're going to have to let the laser tell us how this is going to go. Great hook for Chuck. Chuck is going to come up just a bit short, 338.98, 338.98. So that's going to put him in the number 3 spot. But a very good hook for Mr. Chuck Guenterberg. And that's going to bring up another very strong running tractor coming to us out of Francisco, Indiana. Mr. Josh Miley on a tractor he calls high maintenance. Josh has been pulling with the Pro Pulling League with this tractor for many years. Former points winner. He's done very well at the National Farm Machinery Show. Josh is a farmer. Also does a lot. Got Miley Fabrication, so he makes a lot of parts for a lot of tractor pullers. Builds a lot of tractors in a lot of different classes, all the way up to your pro stock tractors. I know he did a lot of work on Mickey Shorter's Buck Eater while Mickey had it. Very skilled fabricator and machinist. And bringing this high maintenance tractor to us out of Francisco, Indiana. I saw his son Brooks running around out here. You've been around this class, you know who Brooks Miley is. And Mr. Brooks is just waiting. I'm not sure how old Brooks is, but he's just waiting. Someday he will be taking over the seat in this tractor. Josh will become a tractor owner, and Brooks will become the driver, whether Dad wants it or not, I'm sure. But again, this is the high maintenance tractor out of Francisco, Indiana. Josh is currently sitting number 2 in our Apex Turbo Super Farm class. He's got 1 win on the season, and he's going to do what he can to try to put this tractor out there and take another one. Mr. Josh Miley on the high maintenance tractor. And you see what these tractors can do when they get down there in that maximum horsepower range. They're really making the horsepower and making the torque. And as I said, any given night, anyone in this class can take the win. Josh decides he wants to take his shot at it, goes 340.33, new leader. Oh. Great hook by Josh. And again, these guys, this class is so tightly matched with all of these vehicles, all make super good numbers and super high horsepower. It becomes a matter of inches in this class. The laser that we use on our Bungard X Factor sled can measure to 1/100th of an inch. I think it can even go a little bit more. And thanks to my friend, Mr. Dan Meyer, I found out today that we've been using lasers in distance measuring on tractor pulling since the late 70s. But they are very, very accurate. We also can use GPS. But here we are using laser. And a lot of times there are classes, wins and runners up that are decided by 1/100ths of a foot. So one of the things that some of these tractors are doing, you know, they've got all kinds of adjustments. They can move weight forward, they can move it back, they can move it to the belly of the tractor right in front of those rear wheels. A lot of times guys feel like that helps settle those tractors down a little bit. If you take a weight off the front and move it to the back, you don't move all of that weight to the very back, but you only move a percentage off the front. So these guys are watching their competitors go down this track, and they're deciding, hey, maybe I need a weight back, maybe I need to bring one forward. As the night goes on, you'll see some of these guys are having a little bit rougher time keeping that front end down. Usually you want to bring it up Nice and easy. Carry it the length of the track. Get as much speed built up as you can. When you see those front ends come way high in the air, generally they may have come off the clutch a little too hard and stuck that front end up in the air, but when that happens, you'll unload those back tires. So up next, we've got Mr. Casey Fritz on a tractor he calls the Twisted Deer. Very strong running tractor. Got to get out there past that leader flag that Josh Miley just set. Mr. Casey Fritz on the Twisted Deer. Making that John Deere work. They get down here to the end of that track and you hear those motors pull down and they just keep going until that X-Factor sled can get a hold of them. Casey's going to park it right down there with the rest of them. 337.85, 337.85. And that's going to move Casey into the number 5 spot. We've got 2 tractors left here in this Apex Turbo Super Farm class. Whether you're into tractor or sled pulling or looking to join the competitive drag racing or snowmobile circuit, Apex Turbo's dyno-tested technology delivers the power you need with many more models available. Apex Turbo's innovative designs hold several U.S. and foreign patents with additional domestic and international patents pending. The team at Apex Turbo agrees they could not have done it without the relentless drive for improvement they receive from their clients. With dedication to the craft and a winning attitude, the people at Apex Turbo are in your corner when you're looking to add power and speed when you need it most. For more information about high-performance turbochargers from the experts at Apex Turbo, please contact them or call directly at 734-777-1380. And our friends at Apex Turbo can be found online, also on social media. So up next, we've got Mr. Dennis Miller on the Never Say Never tractor. This tractor shares a lot of stable time with the tractor that is currently sitting in the lead, Mr. Josh Miley. The high maintenance tractor, you see Josh backing Dennis in right now. 2 tractors left, this tractor, and then we've got our option puller coming back, and then we're going to wrap up our Apex Turbo Super Farm class. Again, our leader flag is sitting out there at 340.33. And Dennis is going to take his shot and see what he can do. Got the slide light on the sled. Looks like we've got a green flag on the starting line and a green flag at the end of the track. Here we go. And Dennis is going to get down there with the rest of the class. Saw him drift a little bit over to the right as he got down there on the end. Not sure if he pointed it that direction. Dennis is going to come in at 318.56, 318.56. So a good hook for Dennis with 1 tractor left in the class. Pro Pooling League has many sponsors, but one of the sponsors we want to thank right now is Hot Shot Secrets. Hot Shot Secrets have a line of fuel additives, a lot of injector cleaners. A partner here with the Pro Pooling League. One of the products that they have is a Diesel Extreme. So Hot Shot Secrets Diesel Extreme is the official fuel additive of the Pro Pooling League and is the strongest diesel injector cleaner on the market. Trusted by thousands, Diesel Extreme is a complete 6-in-1 fuel additive that cleans and protects your injectors while boosting your fuel cetane by 7 points to give you that extra horsepower, torque and fuel, and economy that we all want. A top quality diesel product with proven results, Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme cleans, protects, and brings your diesel engine back to life. Available nationwide at O'Reilly Auto Parts, Advance Auto Parts, AutoZone, Walmart, Amazon, and online at www.hotshotsecret.com. So as we're waiting on the final track preparations here for this last puller within the class, you'll see some of our two-wheel drive truck pullers down here towards the starting line. You'll might wonder what they're doing. So they've got a probe in their hand and they're walking back and forth across that track, sticking that metal rod into the dirt to try to see where the track changes, whether it's a little bit harder on one side, a little softer. And they're going to pick the line that they want to run for their setup. So these guys know their vehicles well enough that they say, hey, my truck likes a little bit better or a little harder track. My truck likes a little softer track. So they will set those cones where they want as they come up. And they're already starting to get an idea of what they want to do. Again, it looks like we've got 14 of our super modified two-wheel drive trucks. They're going to come up right at the conclusion of our Super Farm class. Of course, we'll make a little bit of weight change to the sled. All right. So we've got the Thunderstorm, Mr. Michael Snepp. Now, Michael was our option puller, so he's seen this track once already. Going to see what he can do with it this second time. Oh, man, he had a good head of steam coming down that track. Maybe try just a little bit more gear on it. And unfortunately, that's going to bring him up just a little bit short. We will get a rundown of the class. Michael's going to go 317.03, 317.03, and that is going to round out our Apex Turbo Super Farm class. We'll get a rundown here. In the number 10 spot, Mr. Dennis Miller on the Never Say Never. Number 9, the Screaming Norwegian, Nick Skaar. Number 8, Dan Vinnie on the Crank It Up tracker. Number 7, Don Slama on the Fast and Furious. Number 6, Brian Barman on the Hooked Up. And your top 5, Mr. Casey Fritz on the Twisted Deer out of Boscobel, Wisconsin, was 338.16. Number 4, Positive Ground, Chuck Guenterberg, Rio, Wisconsin, goes 338.98. Number 3, Mr. Jeremy Roberts on the Wicked Whitetail out of Sullivan, Indiana on a John Deere, 339.35. Your runner-up position, Thumpin' Pumpkin, Mr. Shane Masten, Niles, Michigan, 339.86. And that's going to make your winner, Mr. Josh Miley on the High Maintenance Tractor out of Francisco, Indiana, 340.33. Give them all a round of applause. Chad comes to us out of Reynolds, Indiana. He's got one win, got a win over in Macon on Friday night a couple of weeks ago. They're going to get him backed up again. He's going to be our option puller in this two-wheel drive truck class. So he's going to take a shot at it, see what he can do. Mr. Chad Mayhill. Again, it's going to get loud. But these things are a lot of action. Let's see. What a way to start off the class. Good hook by Mr. Chad Mayhill. We will wait to see if everybody is all good with that one. And we are going to go pulling, folks. Chad is going to keep that hook. Chad goes 335.10. Sorry, 335.36. 335.36. So that's going to set our leader flag here. In our super modified two-wheel drive tractor class. Again, quite a few of these trucks with us here tonight. This two-wheel drive truck class is probably one of the most popular classes in the country. I am personally part of another tractor pull that happens every May down in Nashville, Illinois. And we were actually looking at this. That tractor pull is an invite tractor pull only. And we went and looked all across the country, as many classes as we could find and as many vehicles as we could find, and there are over 200 two-wheel drive trucks that fit into the rules package for this. Now, that's one of the great things about this class. So this class across the country, very, very similar rule sets. In some cases, they are identical. So these guys and gals can pull wherever they want. They can go literally all over the country. They don't have to change anything with these vehicles. They can go pull them anywhere that they want. They are where they're pulling this super modified two-wheel drive truck class, and that's what we're seeing a lot of them doing. A lot of places have them. Very, very popular class. Very, very beautiful vehicles in this class. Again, if you ever get the chance and you want to head to a tractor pull that's got this class in it, make sure you get there early and get out in the pits. These guys love to show off these vehicles, and they are some true works of art. A lot of polish, a lot of hours spent just keeping them looking this good. But up next, we're going to bring up Mr. David O'Driscoll in a truck he calls Stone Cold. So again, another Ford Ranger. So these guys are allowed to run 6,200 pounds. They run a 165-inch wheelbase, 575 cubic inch limit on the motor. They are only allowed to run blowers. They cannot run any screws. And they run a 30-inch max height on the drawbar. Again, a very, very popular class throughout the country. A lot of vehicles in there. You get some really big pulls, and it's not uncommon. You go down to Bowling Green here in a few weeks, and you might see 50 of these trucks down there. So again, we got Mr. David O'Driscoll on a truck he calls Stone Cold. Gonna see if he can get down there past that mark set by Chad Mayhill just one hook ago. And a good hook by David there. David's going to go 304.53, 304.53. Going to put him in the number 2 spot here. Looks like our Bungart X-Factor sled's going to have to pull him back out of those holes just a little bit. One thing about these tires on these trucks, they will dig very quickly with the amount of revolutions they're spinning at the end of these tracks. So when that Bungart X-Factor sled stops them, they are sitting with a pile of dirt behind those tires. They've dug a couple of holes. Now, one of the things that you'll see as these classes go on is that those holes get a little bit harder and harder to really get filled in for our track crews. So they'll go down there with those blade tractors. They'll try to push all that dirt back in those holes, and they'll blade over the top of it over and over, try to roll them back in as best they can. As the night wears on, those holes will become a little bit more present of mind for some of our pullers at the end of the class. So they get those holes dug in. It's really hard to get them set back in there and packed down, so they try to make sure they avoid those if they can. I want to thank another one of our sponsors, Mack Trailers. Mack Trailer Manufacturing of Alliance, Ohio is respected as the nation's foremost manufacturer of dump, flatbed, transfer trailers, and pneumatic tanks. Mack Trailer provides ongoing solutions through high-tech product innovation and advanced engineering capabilities. As a national leader in trailer manufacturing, Mack Trailer serves the industry with a trailer to meet the rigorous demands of your hauling requirements. Let Mack build you the trailer you need with the level of quality you deserve. Experience and the excellence of Mack. For more information, please visit www.macktrailer.com. And we want to thank the Mack Trailers family, Mr. Mike Connie, for their support of the Pro Pulling League. Again, on behalf of the Brown County Fair, we want to welcome you all here. Thank you all for coming out on this beautiful Friday evening. Not very often that you have to think about whether you bring a long sleeve shirt to a tractor pull the 1st of August. So very welcome change in the weather patterns that we've been having. So we're getting our track worked in here. And up next, we're going to have Mr. Dale Nelson out of Altamont, Illinois, on a truck he calls Forever Hooked. Now, Dale comes to us again out of Altamont, Illinois, down there just outside of Effingham. Got one win on the season. Got a win over there in Goshen. And if you know anything about two-wheel drive truck pulling, you have heard of the name of the Nelson family. Down there, of course, Dad, Dale. Been pulling for many, many years. Got 3 boys, and all of them have picked up the pulling bug. So you'll see out here on the track, that's youngest son, Jordan. Jordan has been pulled two-wheel drive trucks for a while, pulled a mini rod as well. Currently campaigning a mini rod out there with Mr. Brett Berg. Tonight, he's getting Dad backed into the sled. We'll see Jordan back out here a little bit later, helping Brett with that super modified tractor, the Rink Seed Moneymaker. But Jordan is just one of the sons in the family, so we will see Jared, brother Jared. We will see brother Jeremy as well. Dale's daughter-in-law, Bethany Nelson, will be pulling that beautiful C10 white and silver Chevy truck you see sitting over there. But Dale Nelson, been on the track for many, many years in this two-wheel drive truck class. I believe he even pulled, if I'm not mistaken, he was a four-wheel drive truck puller at one point. But for as long as I can remember, it's always been two-wheel drives. Wife Glenda's here with him. I saw him at the drivers' meeting. Dale's going to tighten up that chain. We'll wait for the green flag and the notification from Brandon there in the sled that he's ready to go. Again, Dale got one win on the season over in Goshen, and here he goes. And Dale's gonna take it down there. Looks like he's got some raw fuel spitting out somewhere. Could be coming out of a fuel line, could be coming out of the pipes. Just depends on what it is. These things are throwing a lot of fuel into those motors. One of the things that is most popular about this class, you'll see those front ends way high up in the air. Again, just like the tractor class, you don't want them too high in the air because usually that means you're just a little bit off on your weights. Your truck or your tractor has bit into this track harder than what you had initially planned. So again, on these trucks, even though you can't see it, they do have some weight boxes on these chassis that they can move some of those lead weights forward and backwards. Try to get that lead or get that weight just where they want it. .72, 302.72. I'm going to put him in the number 3 spot out here. So again, I want to get Mr. Josh Miley up here, say a few words on his win in the Super Farm class. So Josh, if you can hear me, come on up. You can bring Brooks up. He can do the talking for you. So as we're waiting to get this next truck ready to go, we got the track workers doing their track prep. You might hear behind me. We've got a band back here tonight, so at the conclusion of the pull, if you're still looking for a good time, you can come back here. We've got some adult beverages for sale. Again, if you are going to be partaking, please be responsible. Want to make sure everybody gets home. So we're going to go next to Mr. Jonathan Payne. Truck they call Rampage, out of Georgetown, Indiana. Going to switch up that body style just a little bit. We're going to a Chevy S10. Jonathan's backing into the sled here. You'll see something coming out of that pipe just a little bit on the right bank on the passenger side of that truck, so might have a plug that's being a little cantankerous or whatever. But sometimes those will clean themselves out as they get going down the track. Might have a dead hole, but they also put a... You've got enough fuel in these things. You do not want to run one of these spark plug motors lean on fuel. When they say lean is mean, they mean it. Usually if you're running lean, you're going to run really good for a really short amount of time. Again, Mr. Jonathan Payne. And a good hook for Jonathan there. Again, you could see that as he went down that track, that pipe cleared up just a little bit. So sometimes they'll do that. They'll just decide they don't want to work for a little bit. But once you open them up, again, folks, if you have children, we want to make sure everybody stays this side of that cable up there in front of the trailers. Can't have any children down there in front of that steel cable. This two-wheel drive class is brought to you by Optima Batteries. Optima Batteries is a longtime sponsor here in the pro pulling circuit. The H6 and H7 Optima yellow tops and with Pure Flow technology are direct fit replacement batteries for many late model GM cars and trucks, as well as Jeep, Cadillac, Audi, BMW, Mercedes.
Pro Pulling League very excited to have Hot Shot Secret on board as the title sponsor this year. Matt Steinmetz here on the grounds with us. Now, what makes the partnership between PPL and Hot Shots so ideal?
Yeah, so we've been doing a lot of motorsports over the years, and it's time to expand a little farther out west here and hit some more different competitors on the track and see where it goes.
Okay, so when I hear Hot Shot Secret, I think that this is like some kind of secret special formula that's not available to the everyday person, but that's not the case.
No, that's not the case at all. We actually started out as everyday consumer products for vehicles going up and down the road. And so the other thing is we're powered by science, so everything is lab tested and formulated in our office in Mount Gate, Ohio.
So let's talk about the OG, the original product, the Stiction Eliminator over here.
Yeah, so we started out in '97 with a Stiction Eliminator, originally for the Huey injectors of the Power Stroke engines, and it's actually grown from just fixing those problems to any diesel or gas vehicle to help take the carbon out, and it has our FR3 nanotechnology in there to help protect any bearings and wear in your engine.
Perfect. And now what about someone like me? I'm a diesel gal, so what can I use to enhance the productivity in my vehicle?
Yeah, so we got a couple different diesel products, but our everyday diesel treatment is a 6-in-1 formulation, takes today's diesel fuel and makes it premium fuel again. So we add lubricity back into the fuel, a cetane to help burn more efficiently, water demulsifier, a fuel stabilizer, a rust and corrosion prohibitor, and also an injector cleaner. So we keep injectors happy and the fuel system happy. We have that in our summer blend or everyday, and then we do a every winter defense blend. So the seventh component of anti-gelling to protect you from any gelling in the winter.
And I see you've also got a gas product over here too.
Yeah, so we also do a gas extreme, good for running any gas vehicle or gas engine. We recommend doing that every 6,000 to 10,000 miles, and you should be seeing a mile per gallon gain again once you run that through your system.
So if it's a high performance product or it's for your daily driver, you can see why this partnership works so well. Hot Shot Secret has you covered.
So Jared, part of that Midnight Motorsports team. 4 different trucks, a mini rod, I guess you could say 5 different trucks. Dad Dale is essentially a part of that, but 4 two-wheel drive trucks these guys run. We're going to see 3 of them here tonight. Unfortunately, the 4th one is here, but did have to scratch, so. But Jared's going to take his shot, and again, you see him over there on the left side of that track. We're going to see what he can do. This is your points leader, Mr. Jared Nelson out of Altamont, Illinois. And there you go. I told you. I would be willing to bet that he saw something over there on that side of that line, but if you look at the track where those grouser bars dug in, here about 200 feet, you see how that track is nice and tore up underneath that pan. There are bars underneath there that act as basically chisels to dig into that track and try to get these guys stopped. You can see Jared, he started off on that left side and finishes up over there in the center of the track. Jared's going to go 331.732, 331.732. I believe that's going to put him in the number 2 spot. Sorry, 331.98, 331.98. Again, our leader flag, Mr. Chad Mayhill, put that leader cone out there, 335.36. So we're going to screw type blowers. So yeah, again, Mr. Jim Corey on the Midnight Obsession. Beautiful S10. As he's coming to the track here, you can see as he puts that body down underneath those fiberglass bodies on these trucks, not a lot of frame underneath there. So these guys run at 6,200 pounds. So they can't have much weight in the body or in the chassis. This two-wheel drive class does feature a lot of really wicked looking body styles, a lot of beautiful paint schemes. These guys spend a lot of time and effort to get these things set up and looking good. And this one is no exception. Again, this is a truck called Midnight Obsession, Mr. Jim Corey. Got to get out there past that 335 range to move that leader cone. And a good hook for Jim. Again, if you look down on the track here, somewhere between the 200 and the 250 foot mark, you see where it looks like that track's really been scratched really hard. And again, underneath that pan of that sled, there are grouser bars, and they are designed to do one thing. They are designed to dig into that track and slow you down and get you stopped. When you put those things in the ground and you put all that weight on top of them, Brandon Bungart here in this X Factor sled will get you stopped. Jim goes 320.25, 320.25. Gonna move him into that number 3 spot. Looks like we got 8 more trucks here in this Optima Batteries super modified 2-wheel drive class. Are y'all enjoying your evening? Good food, good friends, good drinks, great weather. The other thing that we haven't talked about is the weather and how it plays into these vehicles. So, your diesel tractors usually don't change a thing. A colder weather, a little cooler ambient air helps them generally. They don't see much of an issue. If anything, it helps them. Now, what you don't see is down here with these 2-wheel drive trucks. You'll see it a little bit later on with our super modified tractors. Might even see some of these guys in the alcohol class and the unlimited supers taking into consideration a few things, but they're monitoring the air as they're down there on the starting line. So they've got these little meters that will give them some information about the air, the temperature, the humidity, the pressure, the barometric pressure. They've got some little adjustments that they make. They're called pills. They're essentially jets that they can control to tune these motors for the air temperature that you have here on this beautiful Friday evening. So we got Mr. Jonathan Payne coming back, and this is a truck he calls Rampage. So we saw Jonathan a little bit earlier. That was actually the no-name truck, so he doesn't have a name on that other truck. But he's bringing back this Rampage truck. Beautiful, beautiful Ford. Looks like a lot of these guys are wanting to stay over towards that left side of the starting line. And you'll see it looks like he's pointing kind of down to the center or the right of center on the big end of the track. So we're going to see what Jonathan can do here with his second entry in the class. Now this truck is the one that's currently sitting in the number 6 spot. Good hook for Jonathan there. Currently setting number 6 in points with this truck. Let's see what the laser shows us. Jonathan goes 313.95, 313.95. Looks like that's going to put that truck in the number 5 spot. Jonathan comes to us out of Georgetown, Kentucky. Up next, we're going to see the next entry out of the Nelson family out of Altamont. So we just saw Jared Nelson a couple of hooks ago. Now we're going to see wife Bethany Nelson in that beautiful white and silver C10 Chevy and a truck they call Sweet Revenge. So Bethany got a win a week or so ago in Evansville, Indiana, the Vanderburgh County Fair. She's going to take her shot here at this Brown County Fair track here with the Optima Batteries super modified 2-wheel drive truck class. Now Bethany's no stranger to the winner's circle. She's a former points champion. Many wins on the season. The Nelson family together have brought home quite a few points championships and wins over the years in this 2-wheel drive truck class. Jared and Bethany own and operate a trucking company. See a lot of their trucks up and down the road this time of year. Do a lot of custom hauling for farmers, co-ops, and others. Love this body style truck, always have. This thing came out, it kind of broke the internet. Been pulling with this truck for probably 5 or 6 years would be my guess. And you'll see, if you look down there on the starting line, Jared said he liked the left side. Bethany decided, let's go to the right side. So she's moved that sled down here on the right side of the track. And if I was guessing, again, I would say there are potentially thoughts of ending up not on the right side of that track when she gets down here on the big end. Make no mistake about it. She knows how to get this two-wheel drive truck to the winner's circle. She's going to take her shot. Brother-in-law Jordan gives her the thumbs up. Got to get down past that leader cone set by our very first puller. This is Bethany Nelson on the Sweet Revenge. Ladies, let me hear it. Great hook by Bethany. Now, if you notice, you might have thought, man, she just didn't quite get into it. She did that on purpose. So she saw something, or they saw something as a team and said, you know what? We want to walk it out just a little bit, and that is exactly what she did. She walked that truck out just a little bit. Maybe that needed a little bit of that weight to come up on the back of that truck to really get it to bite, because if she would have gunned that throttle, she may have blown the tires off of it. Bethany's going to go 332.63, 332.63. That's going to move her to the number 2 spot. She bumps husband Jared down to the number 3 spot. So a great hook for Bethany. One thing about it, those Nelson trucks, they are all competing against each other, but they also help each other. So there's a lot of information that's shared back and forth. And I think that's probably why you saw them move that truck over to the right side. They saw a couple of options. They explored one, didn't get what they thought they wanted. So Bethany says, I'm going to try the other side. They've got one more bullet, that Midnight Motorsports team back there. You see the hood up on that Midnight Gambler. That's Jeremy Nelson back there with that truck. Of course, that's a very, very popular truck with the Pro Pulling League. And this Optima Batteries two-wheel drive truck class. Very recognizable. So that's going to bring up our next truck here in the class. And you're going to have your current leader, Mr. Chad Mayhill, coming back up with a truck they call P5. So, again, Chad Mayhill does a lot of work on a lot of pulling tires. Chad's got a very successful pulling tire company. Of course, CM Pulling, one of our sponsors with the Pro Pulling League. We want to thank Chad for his support. It's going to try to get out there past that leader cone that he set with the two-timing truck from the very first hook in this class. Getting it back into that Bungard X-Factor sled. Got Brandon Bungard there in that sled. Of course, Brandon, the second generation in this Bungard pulling sled business. In my opinion, one of the best sled operators in the country. But Chad's going to see what he can do to drag that as far as he can here with our Optima Batteries two-wheel drive truck class. This is Chad Mayhill, Reynolds, Indiana. And again, stacking them up down there. A lot of these trucks going to end up down there in that same area. Chad's going to go 321.65. 321.65. Going to move him into the number 4 spot. Looks like we got 5 vehicles left in this class. 5 trucks. As we get into this month of August, we'll start seeing this schedule slow up just a little bit. Usually the busy months, tractor pulling on this circuit will generally start somewhere around the 1st of June, carry all the way out into the first weekend in September. Some of these points races in these classes will be decided before that date, but I believe our latest classes are going to be decided down in Nashville, Illinois at the track at Holzhauer's in September. Got a 2-day hook down there. The Pro Pulling League has got plenty of events left though, so if you get a chance, check out Pro Pulling League on social media, or they do have a website. You can find out where they're going to be. Again, we've got one of our pullers in the Super Farm class, Mr. Don Slama, is going to put on a great show up in Hillsboro, Wisconsin. 2-day hook coming up. So if you can make it there, check it out. If you can't make it there, check out ProPullingTV. ProPulling.tv. You can check that out. Live stream these pulls. Try to bring as much pulling action to you if you can't be there. One of the benefits of doing that is you can sit at home. Drinks are generally cheaper at home in the refrigerator. Chairs are usually more comfortable. You don't get the benefit of smelling the fumes and being there to feel the roar of these things, but great alternative if you can't make it. So up next, we've got a tractor, or a truck, coming to us from Sydney, Illinois, Mr. Jeremy Nelson in that Midnight Gambler truck. I gotta say, that shade of blue is absolutely gorgeous. And Jeremy really knows how to lay down the color, so a lot of vehicles out here with the Pro Pulling League that Jeremy has had a hand in make it look as good as they do. Does a lot with semis and haulers as well. I know they pick up some awards here and there at some of the truck shows. Again, they've got 4 of these two-wheel drive trucks that they keep out all summer. And last year they decided they wanted to try to go mini rod pulling. I'm pretty sure if you ask Jared and Jeremy, they might question their sanity as to why they got into mini rod pulling, but have had great success with that mini rod this summer with Jeremy's son Tanner picking up a couple of wins here the last couple of weeks, so had some really good success. But they're here tonight with the two-wheel drive trucks, and this is the last bullet for Midnight Motorsports. So Jeremy's going to see what he can do. Got to get out there past that 335. Range set by Chad Mayhill. And Brandon Brandon's really putting that thing in the ground, getting these guys stopped. Again, if you look right behind that sled right where it's sitting, you can see how that ground is all churned up. These guys put the power to the ground, and Brandon says, I'll fight you for it. Jeremy's going to come in at 329.54, 329.54. Going to move him into the number 4 spot. Four trucks left to go in the class. Jeremy's currently sitting number 5 in our points race. So that's going to bring up Mr. Jansen Smith and a truck called Stimulus Package coming to us out of Dry Ridge, Kentucky. Again, these two-wheel drive, super modified two-wheel drive trucks come to us from all over the country. These rules packages allow them to run both state-level organizations. They can run the national circuits. This is one of what we'll call the successful classes in order to, meaning that they've got the rules packages lined up so that they can go run with different organizations. Again, want to thank Hot Shot Secrets for being our sponsor of the Pro Pulling League. We've got it's no secret, today's diesel ain't as good as it used to be. Ultra low sulfur diesel lacks lubricity. That can lead to fuel system failure, costing thousands in repairs. But you can prevent those issues with Hot Shot Secret products. Add lubricity, boost cetane, and more importantly, increase fuel economy up to 7%. Claims proven by real-world use and confirmed by third-party testing. Hot Shot Secret, Diesel Extreme, and EDT, powered by science. Available nationwide at automotive retailers, farm and ag stores, truck stops, and online at www.hotshotsecret.com. So again, 4 trucks left in this class. We did have a 5th truck that was supposed to be in here. Unfortunately, we had one that did have to scratch. Must have saw something out here in the pits that they didn't like. And again, as we talked earlier, keeping these things going down the track means you've got a lot of maintenance that you've got to do. And if anything looks suspicious, you want to make sure that it gets addressed. You don't want to try to push it because some of these parts can be hard to get. They for sure are not cheap to get, so want to try to conserve these vehicles as much as they can. Again, this is Jansen Smith, a truck called Stimulus Package. Going to get it backed into the sled. Looks like Jansen has moved this thing a little bit farther back up the track. Getting back over towards that left side line, but if you can look, looks like he's backing in at a little bit of an angle, so I would say he's going to be shooting for at least the center of that track down here on the big end. One of the things that these guys run into eventually is with all the power that they put to the ground right off the sled or right off the starting line, they can use up that starting line. So that's why you see them kind of moving around a little bit. They all don't want to run in the same spot. Need that launch and that hole shot to get them moving, get that momentum and speed build up and get them down to the end of the track. So this is Jansen Smith, a truck called Stimulus Package, currently sitting in the number 10 spot in our points race out of Dry Ridge, Kentucky. And a good run for Jansen there. Kind of had fooled a little bit. Thought maybe he was going to try to point it more towards the center, but he ended up a little bit right of center. I make that left of center. Jansen's going to go 312.58. 312.58. I believe that's going to move him into the number 9 spot. 3 trucks left. To get this class done, we're going to move into our unlimited super stock class. We've got, looks like 5 here with us tonight. Sorry, 6. And then we're going to move into our super modified tractor class. So a little bit earlier, you saw another hauler rolling in behind the sled as we were running some of these. So we moved that sled back down to the right side. I figured it was probably coming. This is one of those classes where you'll see that sled move all over the place because, again, just like our Super Farm class, this super modified two-wheel drive truck class is so tightly contested. These trucks are so very close to being on the same level. Again, to say that it is anybody's hook any given night is so true, especially in this class. There is so much parity. These trucks, a little bit of weight here and there. It gets back down to driving style. You see some of these competitors kind of walking it out a little bit and then gunning it. You see some of them going crazy off the line. It's all in how their truck responds. And they do like a good biting track. This track here tonight will take all the horsepower you can throw at it. So this is Michael White, the truck they call Addiction. Beautiful Chevy Colorado. You can hear that band behind me. The conclusion of this, you still want to continue on with the evening. There'll be a band going for a while. I believe the beer tent's going to stay open for a little bit, so if you're looking to keep going, by all means, just please be responsible. So again, our leader flag is still out there from our option puller, Mr. Chad Mayhill, in the two-timing truck. Everybody chasing that 335 liter cone. And Michael White's going to take his shot at it. That was a perfect example. So as these trucks are going down the track, you see that these front ends are kind of going up and coming down, going up and coming down. So that shows you that the balance is off just a little bit. They're biting hard. As that truck comes up, those back tires will unload just a little bit, and it'll set that front end back down. And then when it comes back down, it wants to bite a little bit, come back up. Every time they do that, they call that toe tapping. generally means you're going to take a little bit off at the end of that run. So good hook for Michael there. Michael goes 317.02. 317.02. Looks like that's going to put him in the number 7 spot. With 2 trucks left in this class, and then we're going to go to the unlimited super stock. So you're going to see some alcohol burning tractors coming up. I want to thank some of our fair sponsors here. Without their support, they couldn't bring you this. The Brown County Fair Board couldn't bring you this show. We want to thank Dot Foods, Farmers State Bank and Trust Company, Jennings Beardstow, Sullivan Auctioneers and Big Iron, Nutrient Ag Solutions, Prairie Land FS, LG Seeds, Mr. Derek Despain, Cascom, Brown County State Bank, Wright Trucking Incorporated, Helena Agri Enterprises, Mount Sterling Foods, Mixer Lumber Company, Rusty and Carrie Mixer, ADI Timewell Drainage, County Financial, Torrey Benjamin, Berkey's, Eagle Valley Bank, Wheeler Auctions and Real Estate, Mount Sterling Implement, Matt and Mark Hill, Brant Consolidated, Market Iron and Metal, Kerr Auction, Alex and Gina Kerr, Ray Agency, Brad Cassing, Frankie and Louie's Beachfront Bar and Grill, Beard Implement, Syngenta Seeds, Golden Eagle LLC, DeKalb, Cassing Lumber, BASF, Winger Ag Solutions. Want to thank them for their sponsorship of the tractor pull here this evening. If you see any of those business or do business with them, please thank them on behalf of the Brown County Fair Board for their support. The truck he calls taking up space. Two trucks left in this class. A narrowed Chevy C10 body style. Roger's going to move that sled back towards the center of the track. So the last couple of hooks, we've seen it bounce around from side to side. Roger says, I think I'll go back to the center. It's where a lot of our 85 limited pro stock tractors and a lot of our super farm tractors ran. And he's decided, I think I'm going to go back in the center of the track. We got Mr. Roger Deathridge taking up space. And that's X-Factor sled really working on it. If you see the front of that sled right there, see how hard it's sitting down in that track? Well, Brandon's doing everything he can to stick the front of that sled into that track. Can't tell if Roger's got something going on with that motor. Sounds like it's got a little something going on. But a good hook on a beautiful evening. We'll wait for the distance for Roger. The top pro pulling league drivers use Hot Shot secret fluids and additives for a reason. It works. The same performance and protection gained from Hot Shot Secret's adrenaline racing fluids are available for your daily driver with FR3 friction reducer. Using proprietary nano lubricants, you won't find anything else like it. Available nationwide at O'Reilly Auto Parts, Advance Auto Parts, AutoZone, Walmart, Amazon, and online at www.hotshotsecret.com. stages, but I don't know that we have any 4 chargers set up. So what that means is if they're running 3 chargers, a lot of times they're running a 2 pressure stages with 3 chargers. So they have 1 charger on the motor, right on the exhaust manifold, and they've got boost pressure up. I'd say some of these guys are shooting boost pressures in 130 range, maybe a little higher. Your diesel super stocks that run 3 and 4 charger setups, say in your heavy super stock class, which is some of the tractors you might see that'll jump in every now and then with these unlimited super stock tractors. Those guys know what I've heard some of them talk, and they say they know what 400 pounds of boost looks like in a diesel engine. Now with those, they're going to huge amounts of boost, huge amounts of fuel, and when they get to that high, what ends up happening is they will push the wrist pins through the pistons. They cannot keep the pistons inside those motors with that kind of pressure. So a lot of those guys that would potentially run a diesel in this tractor class going to be down there in that 300 to 320 psi range. That's kind of where you can get them to live. There are guys that will push them a little bit harder, but as you start getting up in that range, part life and part failure lean heavily towards part failure. So these guys in these alcohol tractors with the RPMs that they turn, they don't have to run that high boost pressures. They make a tremendous amount of power because they are igniting that fuel and air mixture as opposed to trying to squeeze it down and pull the power out of it. So it's a little easier on these engines. But again, the name of the game for one of these points titles, gotta keep them running. These are all hard running tractors. And as I was jabbering away there, Zane Deli got out in front of me, and I didn't get him announced properly, so that was Zane Deli on the Rutten Deer 2. Zane's currently sitting in the number 3 spot out of Ossian, Iowa. And a good hook for Zane. Comes in at 324.13, 324.13. So when he was on that line, you saw that what looked like smoke coming out of those pipes. A large portion of that was raw fuel. He was shooting that raw fuel in there. These guys, again, don't want to have lean motor or lean fuel and air combinations in these motors. If you go lean, you go mean, but you don't stay there very long. Usually things break when that happens, and that's not good. Again, you see tremendous amounts of RPMs out of these motors. And Zane's pass there was definitely no exception. Again, we want to thank Big St. Charles for being our class sponsor in this unlimited super stock class. Got 3 tractors to go, one of which is our option puller that's going to come back, Mr. Aaron Hall on that MMG 1000. But up next, we're going to see Aaron Hall on the Taking Care of Business tractor. So this will be a John Deere. Got her fired up. Again, these tractors run a 30.5-inch tire, so they're running a little bit more tire. Wider tread pattern, but you'll also notice that these usually run a flatter tire profile. Some of your 24.5s that we saw earlier were kind of crowned more. They got a cup in them that's got a little more of a round factor to them. These guys like a nice wide tire. Want to maximize that contact area for the amount of horsepower that these guys are making. Rough estimates on horsepower of these class. I mean, I don't think 4,000 horsepower is probably not far out of the realm, maybe higher. It just depends. Some of these guys don't even really know what these things make. These multiple charger setups can be really hard to get on a dyno, because the problem with an engine dyno is you have to be able to keep it under control. That kind of horsepower, you're pushing the limits of some of what these dynos can take. Now, they are some companies. I know Lemke Motorsports, Mr. Robbie Lemke, they're working on some new dynos. Can handle some really high horsepower applications. Some of your bigger engine builders, well, most of your bigger engine builders do have engine dynos. So they'll pull the motors out, hook them up to a cart, wind them up, see what they can do. Again, this is Aaron Hull on Taking Care of Business. Oh, he was on a pass too. That front end hung up in the air. Oh, that was a pretty pass going, and for some reason, something just popped. So one of the first things that they do when a tractor shuts down like that, they'll go back to the back side of that tractor. So in addition to the hook that they're dropping, the main chain that they're pulling that sled with, there's another element that they hook up to the back of these tractors, and that is the kill cable. So in that is just simply something that is connected on the ignition side, the electronics, and if that, for some reason, that tractor gets out of control, Brandon has the ability there in that sled to push a button, and he can pull that cable out, and then that will kill that tractor. Now, I see Jerry and I see Laura down here looking at the track, and unfortunately, when that happens and those tractors stop really quickly like that, a lot of times that means there's something that's not supposed to be on the track that's on the track. Now, fortunately, I didn't see them picking anything up off the track, so that's good. But for some reason, that tractor decided, I think I'm done for this pass. Hopefully it's nothing major. Aaron's going to go 309.65, 309.65. And like I said, the bad part about that was he had that thing hooked to that track. That front end was in the air and it was staying in one spot. Good ground speed. But it just got to the point where it said, you know what? I think we're done here. So 2 tractors left here in this unlimited super stock class. Up next, we're going to bring up Mr. Bob Gansmer on the Rutten Deer. So Bob Gansmer's going to come to us out of Platteville, Wisconsin. He's got 1 win on the season. Got over on our Seymour hook, session 1. Currently setting second in our points chase. Bob's been a long time puller in this class. How about it, John Deere fans? Any of your tractors run like this on the farm? I would venture to say if you've got a John Deere tractor on your farm, it's got spark plugs in it, it's got a deck underneath it. A very strong running tractor out of Platteville. So as we were mentioning earlier, the name of the game in these tractor pulling classes and truck pulling classes is you got to keep them on the track. Over the course of a summer and the number of hooks that we put on them, it gets harder and harder on these things, so maintenance is of the utmost importance. And of course, we as pullers are our own worst enemies. When we have all the power we think we need, the only thing we can say is, I sure would like some more. And unfortunately, we walk that line and sometimes we step over it. But the key to a points championship is number one, keeping them on the track, and number two, consistency. And they usually have to go in that order. And the higher the horsepower, the harder it is to keep them on the track. So here we got Mr. Bob Gansmer on the Rutton Deer, trying to get out there past that 351 mark. And if you were watching, like I was, saw him start to drift pretty hard to the right side of the track. That front end came back around, so when those front tires are in the air, there is really not a lot you can do with that steering wheel other than just use it as a handle, because you're not able to steer that tractor in any way, shape, or form. Bob's going to go 320.13, 320.13, and that is going to move him into the number 3 spot. So good hook for Bob there, but as he's going down the track, I guess it's just because I've been around a while, as I see him start to get a little bit, you know, one side or the other and starts changing directions, I'm looking, as he goes by the announcer's stand, I'm looking at his feet. Now, it's not because I got some weird thing about feet, but I'm trying to see how hard he's stepping on those brakes, because when that front end is in the air like it was, he has no way of steering that tractor other than the brakes. So he's got an individual brake on both sides of that tractor, and he's got 2 brake pedals in there, and if it goes one way, you push the brake pedal the opposite way, and that'll bring that tractor back around opposite. But the problem with that is, every time you touch that brake, it takes distance off at the end of the track. But unfortunately, sometimes the only way to keep that tractor in bounds is to stay on that brake. And there are times where people will go down the track and stand on that brake to keep it in bounds. But the problem is that it takes a lot of distance off the end of the track. And when they're going back and forth like he was, trying to keep it in there and get it where it pointed where he wanted, unfortunately, every time he's doing that, he's taking distance off the end of the track. But a good hook, no less. So up next, we're going to bring up our option puller. Aaron's coming back on that MMG 1000. Okay, so this is Greg Peterson on this tractor. This is not Aaron Hull. We did see Aaron earlier. Not uncommon for Aaron to sit in the seat of this tractor. But Greg Peterson out here tonight. So he's going to get her back into the sled here. Again, with these alcohol burning tractors, this air, the barometric pressure, the humidity in the air, especially when it gets warm, these tractors can be a little bit harder to manage than a diesel tractor would be, because they're not necessarily affected by the temperature or the humidity in the air. A lot of skill and a lot of tuning goes into running some of these motors like this. So he's going to take another shot at this again. Again, this is Greg Peterson. This is going to be our last puller in the class. Then we're going to go super modified tractor pulling. And as I'm standing here, I'm seeing some turbines. I'm seeing lots of blowers back there. So these guys are going to shake the ground, shake the air, shake every bone in your body as they come down this track. But we're going to give this one tractor left in this unlimited unlimited super stock class. He got her wound up. He's going to get it. And that old Bungard sled put the work on him. A good hook for Craig. See where that comes out at. He's going to go 325.60, 325.60. That's going to move him to the number 2 spot. So good way to come back after that option pull. So we'll give you the class rundown here. In the number 6 spot, taking care of business, Mr. Aaron Hull. Number 5, out of time, Mr. Brett Backhouse, 319.49. Number 4, the Rutten Deer, Mr. Bob Gansmer, 320.13. Number 3, the Rutten Deer 2, Mr. Zane Deli, out of Ossian, Iowa, 324.13. The number 2 spot, that MMG 1000, Mr. Craig Peterson, 325.60. And with maybe the prettiest pass so far tonight, your winner, Mr. Jeff Hodem, on the fully loaded tractor, 351.31. So congratulations, Jeff. Give him a round of applause. Jeff, make your way up here to the announcer's stand. Got a couple of questions for you. And with that, we are going to run right into our Mitas Tires Super Modified Tractor class. But to me, they actually get a little quieter as they get up in the RPM range. Now your Allisons and your Hemis that you'll see, at least the Hemis coming up, they are absolutely opposite of that. When that throttle drops, the noise goes insanely loud. So again, if you've got small children, make sure if they're not covering their ears, you are. So again, this is Dave Walsh on the 4 Aces tractor, sitting fourth in our Mitas Tires Super Modified Tractor class in our points race. Going to be our option puller here tonight. We're going to see what he can do with this Brown County track. All the pullers that I've talked to so far have really enjoyed this track. After this tractor goes down the track, I've got Mr. Jeff Hodem up here. We'll have a word with him while we get the next tractor hooked up. All right, they got them both fired up, getting ready to go. Green flag, let's see what he can do. Our option puller, Mr. Dave Walsh. There you go, folks. That's big horsepower right there. Moving a lot of air, a lot of power. Looks like they are liking this track here tonight as well. All right. right, so we have got a good sled, and he's going to keep that pass. Dave's going to set that bar at 315.74. 315.74. So a great hook for Dave. So I'm up here in the announcer stand, and I've got the winner of our Unlimited Superstock class, Jeff. What do you think about that pass?
It felt great, but I tell you what, Aaron Hall was taking care of business. He was on a heck of a pass, man. If that thing stayed together and kept going, I'm pretty sure he'd have passed me just like I was standing still. He was moving.
Both of you guys were moving really good, and it was sad to see him actually drop off like that because you both came by the announcer stand just flying, front ends hanging in the air. What's it feel like when you're on that pass? Do you know it's coming?
Oh yeah, well you don't. Yeah, you'll feel it when you're on the tractor, but yeah, I mean I'm still shaking. I've been doing this for over 25 years, and it's just you still get that adrenaline dump. But boy, I tell you, you don't have passes like this one, and we had one earlier this year at a state event, 38.5 mile an hour. But that was very comparable to this, and I tell you what, hats off to the Fair Board, just doing what they could and absolutely doing an excellent job of this track with all the rain and from Mother Nature. It was just an awesome experience.
It looked like a smooth pass from here. I don't know what you felt in the seat, but it looked awful smooth.
I had to get on the brake a little bit, and I don't know if you noticed, but it started to do a little walk. I saw, don't do it. Come on, settle down now. We got this. Come on, just powered right through. But yeah, we were able to get it done. But I got to thank my sponsors, Breck Bueller Scales and BTEC Scales out of Canton, Ohio. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing here today. And thank all the fans for coming out and seeing us and supporting the fair, supporting us here at the Pro Bowling League. We very much appreciate it.
All right, Jeff, great pass tonight. Hope to see you again down the road somewhere. All right, give him a round of applause. Your Unlimited Superstock winner, Mr. Jeff Hodum. All right, so we saw our first puller here in this super modified Mitas tire tractor class. We're gonna get a little bit louder here. So this is gonna bring up Mr. Dylan Owens on a tractor he calls Thorn. So Dylan and his dad made the trip from Iowa, 7.5 hours. They pulled this afternoon. Decided, you know what, let's take a trip. Now, to their benefit, they were coming closer to home. The only problem is they got to go to New York to get home. So this was technically on the way, sort of. But it's going to bring Dylan up here on a tractor he calls Thorn. So I'm sure we got a lot of farmers out there, a lot of cattle farmers that deal a lot with hay, and that's what Dylan is doing most of the time when he's not out here playing with tractors. He's at home. He is always on the go. He sends a lot of hay of all different types all across the country, again based out of New York. And not sure what we got going on down there. You could hear, not sure if that was one motor that they fired up. Sounded like they had a little bit of a miss of some kind. So not sure what's going on there. They're going to take a look at that. The Owens family's got another tractor called the Ramblin' Rose we'll see here in just a few minutes. So it looks like Dylan's gonna drop. And up next, we're gonna see Mr. Brett Berg out of Farmington, Minnesota on a tractor called the Rink Seed Moneymaker. Now, Brett Berg, if you know anything about tractor pulling, Brett Berg has been around for a long, long time. Not only in a modified class, he's pulled in a couple of other classes as well. But here he's brought his big modified tractor. Now Brett is currently setting number 2 in our Mitas Tire super modified class in the points chase. He's got 2 wins already this year. Actually, 2 wins in a row. The last 2 hooks, he's got came away with a win. So, again, sitting second in the points. Also owns a mini rod. Maybe even 2. I'm not sure if he still has the second one. Mr. Jordan Nelson we see down there on the starting line, assisting with those mini rods. Jordan, a former PPL mini rod champion. So, folks, this one's going to be loud. Make sure you get that ear protection going. This is, again, Mr. Brett Berg, Farmington, Minnesota, on the Moneymaker. Can definitely feel the earth shake when these tractors go down the track. So again, this Brown County Fair track, cannot say enough good things about the fair and the fair board and the track crew. They have built a monster track out here tonight. Brett put the hammer down on that thing and did not let up. And Brett's going to take that leader flag and move it out. 328.23. 328.23. So we got a new leader. And again, as I see him going down the track, he's starting off a little bit farther down here on the right side. And if you look at the trail that he left in the center of that track with that Bungart X Factor sled, as he went by the announcer stand, he was standing on that brake to keep that thing from going all the way out on the left-hand side. So a good hook. So that Mitas tires were a game changer in this class. They are also our super modified class sponsor. So champion on the pulling track and trusted in the farmer's field, Mitas Agriculture tires are built for those who never quit. Mitas uses a special tire construction that allows your tractor's power to be directly transferred to the ground, plus giving you up to 40% load bonus. Experience the power, reliability, and efficiency of Mitas tires, the preferred choice of champions and the perfect choice for your field. With Mitas, quitting is not an option. So we've got more of this super modified tractor class coming in. Again, one of the things that these guys have the hardest time with is getting all of that power hooked to a track. Every puller that I have talked to out here tonight, whether it be on a diesel, an alcohol, a two-wheel drive, small tire, big tire, they are all saying nothing but good things about this track. So we want to thank Mother Nature for bringing us the rain. The good thing about that is generally on a, we'll call it a 350, 400 foot track, that usually don't see much in difference as far as how that is applied. So think of a sprayer in the field, you get a nice even application across the spray bar. Well, when it rains like it did, it's a nice even application. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't just do it on the pulling track, it does it in the pits and everywhere else where it's a little bit harder to deal with things. But nonetheless, it's nice and even. So up next, we're going to bring up Ron Langer on the Masten Crop Performance 2.0. So Ron runs around with the Walsh brothers quite a bit. And here we've got 3 of the turbine engines, so without getting too specific, there's a lot of motor combinations that they are allowed to run. So there's different manufacturers of these turbines that they are allowed to run. And a lot of it is based on how many they can squeeze on there. They look at horsepower ratings, so these turbine engines can make a tremendous amount of horsepower, but the other thing that they have to contend with is they have to make weight with these tractors. So sometimes the weight is the limiting factor on how many of these motors they can put on these chassis. So in this case, with the motor combination, they've got 3 of them on here. So the Walsh brothers, of course, on the back of this tractor, you see the Walsh brothers. Walsh brothers have been pulling with these turbine engines for many, many years. Long-time supporters of this class up there out of the Wisconsin area. This tractor is currently sitting number 3 in the points. Ron running around with Dave and the others, campaigning these tractors again. With all of the things that go into these tractors, one of the things they've got to do is keep ahead of the maintenance. Now, generally on a turbine, there's not a lot of, or there's a lot less, I shall say, a lot less rotating parts than there is in a Hemi-style reciprocating engine. So it makes them a little easier from a maintenance standpoint, but still not a gimme by any stretch. You've got to get all that power hooked up. He's going to lay on it. Ron Langer. And you can hear that motor trying to do that coming down that track. So for whatever reason, just popping just a little bit. Unfortunately, that's taking horsepower away that he needs to get that sled a little farther down that track. Ron's going to go 286.6, or sorry, 287 even, 287.00. Makes for a cool fire show, but unfortunately it takes a lot of distance off at the end of the track. So with that, we've got 4 tractors left in this super modified tractor class, brought to you by Mitas Tires. Top performance on the pulling track transferred to the farmer's field. Mitas agriculture tires are built for those who never quit. Through innovation, low inflation tire construction, Mitas is the choice for reliability and superior performance. Mitas, for those who never quit since 1932. You can visit them at www.mitasag.com. And again, these Mitas tires, for a long time, these guys had a lot of trouble with all this horsepower. They either had to come out a little bit slower, maybe detune those motors. But when these Mitas tires came out, this super modified class just took them by storm. And they have really, really changed the game for these tractors to get the horsepower to the ground. Again, want to thank you all for coming out here tonight. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Still got plenty of pulling action left. Want to thank the Brown County Fair Board for hosting the Pro Pulling League. Can't do it without all of these wonderful sponsors that we've got here locally. Cortivo Ag Services, B&N Trucking, WGEM News, Scranton Heating and Cooling, Western Grain Marketing, Royal Printing, Sloan Implement, Wagner Garage, Eric and Joni Wagner, Sportsman's and Hop Garden, Mount Sterling and Rushville Vet Clinic, Kevin Cackley. Beard Transport Incorporated, Logan Agri Service, Adams Fiber, Compeer Financial, Josh Babb, Brown County Accounting and Tax Services, and Parallel Ag. So we've got another of our Hemi-style tractors coming up. This again, Dylan Owens. He's on the other tractor, the Ramblin' Rose. So this tractor, I believe, got a win this afternoon. It was either this afternoon or yesterday in Iowa. And again, this is one of them. They put both of these tractors in the hauler. That is not Dylan. This will be Dad Tom. So Dylan's backing Dad Tom in, running the 3-engine combination. So he's able to run a little bit bigger blowers with that 3-engine combination. So this is Tom Owens on a tractor they call Ramblin' Rose out of the state of New York. Spend a lot of time in the Midwest in the summer campaigning these super modified tractors with the various organizations. And we are happy to have them here tonight. So they're check. Dylan's giving the green light for Dad. He's going to take the slack out of that chain. He's going to see what we can do. So again, this one's going to be a loud one. Make sure you keep those ears covered up. Oh, Dylan running back down there to the back of the tractor. Not sure what they got going on. One of the things about these motors, and any motor for that matter, again, these are not running any kind of coolant. Heat is a very, very bad thing, so you want to get them heated up just a little bit, get a little heat in that oil so it flows a little bit better. But heat is a very, very bad thing inside of one of these pulling motors. So Tom Owens on the Ramblin' Rose out of the state of New York. And digging it in down there. Tom's going to come up, put him in the runner-up position at 323.59. He's in that second place spot, 323.9. Sorry, 59, 323.59. So good hook for Tom. So we're going to quiet things down a little bit. I'm going to bring back Dave Walsh. Got another one of those turbine engines. Again, affectionately referred to as air compressors, but a lot less rotating mass. So basically a straight shaft with a lot of fan blades hooked to it that make a lot of air pressure, and they will shove a lot of fuel in there and ignite it and make a lot of horsepower. Again, at the conclusion of the show, we've got a band back here in the beer tent. Again, if you're going to partake in the adult beverages, please be responsible when you're leaving. It's a chance that some of these pullers are going to maybe camp out here for the night, take off in the morning. Some of these guys have a long drive home. So instead of taking off, I want to thank you all again for coming out tonight. Please be sure to let your fair board know that you enjoyed the show. We certainly enjoy bringing you some pro pulling league action here tonight. Cannot thank you all for the weather. I mean, you guys ordered this just right. I see some sweatshirts. I see a lot of jeans. I mean, just a great night compared to what we had beginning of this week. Just beautiful weather. So we're waiting on Mr. Dave Walsh on the Masten crop performance. Again, another one of these turbine tractors out of the state of Wisconsin. Currently sitting number 5 in our Mitas Tires super modified class. These guys got a couple hooks left, I believe, for the summer. But we are winding down our schedule. So again, in August, we've still got some pulling action, but definitely starting to wind down these guys. A lot of them have farms that they have to tend to, so usually try to be done in that September time frame because, as we all know, farmers tend to get busy in the fall. And another one of those Walsh Brother tractors. Got the 3 engines set up here. See what we can do here. This will be our last turbine tractor in the class. Looks like they're trying to get one of those other motors fired up. What he's got there, he's got a battery pack in the back of that Jeep, and you saw that umbilical cord going over there. So they don't carry batteries on most of these tractors. They will either use the starter may be on there, but at least on this one, on the Hemi styles, they have external starters, so they just slide those over the bracket, line them up with the belt pulley, and use an external starter. But it looks like he's having a little bit of an issue getting one of those motors fired up. But there's some things they can do to try to get them to go. So we'll see what they come up with. Again, as I was saying earlier, when you get to running in these hell weeks, as we call them, you've got a lot of we'll call it uptime on these machines, so sometimes you have to slide some of your maintenance tasks back just a little bit. But when that happens, little things will pop up. Now these guys can tell you all about these motors. They'll take them apart. They know every in and out of these motors. They can disassemble them all the way. They do a lot of the maintenance and rebuilds themselves. Sounds like he's got it going. All right. Mr. Walsh gonna bring it down the track, see what he can do. And unfortunately, it decided I might have fired, but I don't want to go all the way down to the end of that track. So unfortunately, that's going to be the measured distance for the Masten Crop Performance. He's going to come in at 146.79, 146.79. So unfortunately, give him a round of applause, folks. That is not what he came here to do tonight. So we appreciate you bringing that tractor. Unfortunately, things like this do happen. And in pulling, unfortunately, it is not a matter of if it breaks, it's a matter of when. And with that, we're going to bring up a tractor that belongs to a family that, if you know anything about pulling, you've heard the name Simons. Now, a little background. So we're going to see Brandon Simon here on the Simon Says modified tractor. Brandon is the son of Roger Simon out of Farley, Iowa. And for the last, gosh, I don't know, I want to guess somewhere in a 10-year time frame, the Simon family has almost changed the game in pulling. Currently, I think in the stable there are pro stocks. There is a big mod. There is a light mod. There is a four-wheel drive truck. There are who knows how many two-wheel drive trucks. It's just kind of the mecca. And these guys put on a pull here not too long ago. So Brandon and brother RJ and the team there at the 300 Raceway put on a pull. Largest payout ever in pulling. I believe they paid $50,000 to the winner of 6 different classes. Really neat concept. And when these guys come to pull, they bring their A game every single time. So you are going to see him bend this thing over. That throttle's going to hit the floor. And Brandon's going to do whatever he can to take this thing maybe around turn 4, you never know. So again, Mr. Brandon Simon on the Simon Says. Now folks, this is one of the tractors, as well as the both of the Owens family tractors that pulled this afternoon in Iowa. They got off the track, loaded it up, 7.5-hour drive later, here they are. So if you get a chance, if you're walking by them out in the pits, both the Owens family and Brandon and crew, make sure you thank them. They have worked their butts off just to get here. And this tractor is one hard running tractor. That Minor Brothers racing engine package. So he's got what he likes over here on this right-hand side of the track, folks. This will be one to watch. Mr. Brandon Simon on the Simon Says tractor. comes. Lays down a great pass. We're going to see what the laser says. Needed to go a distance of 328.24 to take the lead. Needed to go 328 328.24 is what he needed to go. How about 331.41? New leader. Well, Brandon Simon taking the lead.
That's correct.
And unfortunately, we thought we had one coming back. Dylan Owens was going to try to bring the Thorn tractor back, but looks like he's not going to make it. He's going to have to scratch. So, folks, that's going to conclude our show here tonight. Mr. Brandon Simon, your winner of the Mitas Tires Unlimited modified tractor class. On behalf of the Brown County Fair, the Pro Pulling League, we would like to thank you all for coming tonight. Please be safe on your way home. And we hope to see you again all next year.